Welcome to this Sea Ranch Life. Today we've got some breaking news about the Gualala Community Center. As you may recall, in February of 2023, the main hall of the community center was destroyed in a fire, in an arson fire. Since that time, the Gualala Community Center board has been grappling with how to rebuild. We've got breaking news today about a major change in direction by the community center, and we've invited Kevin Evans, the board chair. Listen up as he explains the new direction. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Kevin's been on this program several times in the past, and but some new things. He's got some new information to share with us. Kevin, thanks for joining in with us and bringing the community up to date.
Thank you, George, for the invitation. And you're right, things are changing rather rapidly.
Well, let's talk about that. Last time you and I visited, you laid out what I'd call a roadmap for
Hmm.
how you were going to fund the new Gualala Community Center, and your budget price at that time was in the $7 million range, and you'd raised maybe a third of that, something
Hmm.
like that, and the rest of the money, your roadmap was on where you were going to find the rest of the money. And if I understand correctly, a lot of it was going to be grant money, some from the state of California, some from federal money, maybe some other sources. Um, Tell us what changed with that.
Well, we got a rebid on the project from our architect and general contractor. They went back to get the hard numbers on the cost of materials and labor. Initially, it was a projected number. Now it's more of a finite number.
Okay.
And so there have been some dramatic changes. Also, anticipation of the tariffs.
Yeah.
So a lot of these subcontractors went back and recalculated their numbers, and the new price tag for the building was $9.2 million.
That's a big jump up. That's over $2 million more than you were expecting. So that's a bit of sticker shock there.
Exactly. So we the board put it back on our architects and the general contractor, uh, that we felt that that was a non-starter for our community. 7 million was a heavy lift.
Yeah.
9.2 was definitely a non-starter. So we asked them to go back to the drawing board and see what we can do. The
Yeah.
community still wants a community center, but we have to reduce the price tag significantly.
Right. So some of the new information, contractors and subcontractors, uh, based on recent changes, particularly tariffs going on, they were expecting things like their cost of materials were going to rise, maybe
Mhm. Correct.
significantly, and they weren't really able to pinpoint exactly what that increase was going to be, but they were all expecting an increase in material costs to them, and so that introduced a lot of uncertainty, and uncertainty usually, correct me here, usually means people price things higher to cover their risk in
It's
it. Yeah,
exactly. We had heard from our general contractor to anticipate a 10% increase this year.
yeah,
That was before the tariffs, and that was
yeah,
before the fires down in Southern California. So
right.
we knew there would be an impact as a result of both of those occurrences.
Yeah, just to fill in for our viewers, correct me here, Kevin, if I'm wrong. The fires in Southern California and Los Angeles, uh, I don't know the exact number, but something like 11,000 homes were destroyed there, a huge number of homes.
Exactly.
And of course, many folks are going to try and rebuild, and that means there's going to be demand for all the materials it takes to build a house.
Correct.
Lumber, roofing materials, plumbing, electrical work, everything it takes to do a house. there's going to be a huge demand. 11,000 houses is a lot of houses to try to bring back online. And that the pressure from the demand from all that construction was likely going to also increase the price of everything in a house. And
Exactly.
you all expected to be impacted by that. Nothing, something outside of your control,
Right.
really.
Right.
Let me ask you this. Let's drill a little bit deeper. The grant funding that you and I had talked about before, you had several different sources that you either had grant proposals uh, um, submitted or you were anticipating getting them. Did anything change with the grant situation?
Well, we haven't heard anything back from the state. That's
Okay.
still pending. And I think a lot of it has to do with the state obligating, I think, $1.8 billion. I think the state obligated to support the fire victims
Okay.
in Southern California. That money, I believe, they were hoping actually to recoup that money through FEMA, through federal
Yeah.
reimbursement. That is still on the table, and talking to people that are familiar with it, they're not sure that California is going to get reimbursed that amount of money,
Yeah.
which means our state legislature does not have extra money that they can send our way. So that really puts a damper on that. And March 14th is a critical day for funding of our government.
Yeah.
And right now, because the House approved, I guess I forgot what they call it, but it's something like they're approving the process to move forward with addressing the budget. And they basically said, we'll move forward with the budget that we're proposing, and that's with a lot of cuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that in mind, it doesn't look like federal funding is on the table, even though we were approved at the committee level. So we're looking at an alternative plan.
Right. Right. Um, so in view of all of those we'll say new information or potential changes that you didn't anticipate a year ago.
Hmm.
It wasn't possible to anticipate no one knew what was going to happen at this point. I understood that your board, of which you're the chair, your board met a couple of days ago to discuss that. What action did the board take? Where are you at now?
Okay. We received a communication from our architects that basically laid out a plan B,
Mhm.
which we were very pleased with. Their proposal is to take us back to the basics. And in 1954, when the community built the community center, they just built the main hall and the kitchen and the restrooms.
Okay.
It was a little later that they added the stage area.
Okay.
And after that, then they added the addition of the clothing room.
Okay.
So what our architect and with our general contractor, they proposed rolling back the community center to 5,000 square feet, which is removing about 2,400 square feet out of our construction cost.
Okay. All right.
That
So a building about two-thirds the size of what you were originally proposing,
correct,
roughly. Yeah. Okay.
correct. So what in discussion on what are the services that we really and truly need there? Obviously, we need a restroom. We definitely need a kitchen.
Mhm.
And the public really responded with the need of a multi-purpose room that they can hold private and public events.
Right.
So we're restoring that proposal and that concept um, in a 5,000 square foot building. And the revised price tag right now is 5.5 million.
Okay.
So we're reducing it by almost $4 million, the cost of construction.
Right. Compared to your most recent
Correct.
estimates that you got from the contractor. So two-thirds of the footprint of the building is about two-thirds of what you had originally planned, but your price tag has gone down uh, or maybe 50%
Almost,
from
yeah.
almost
Correct.
50% from what your latest estimates showed you. So um, that's that's pretty considerable. So what's the general feelings at the board adopted this, right?
Yes, the board voted unanimously at our meeting on Monday
Okay.
to go ahead and authorize our architects and general contractor to redesign the building with the 5,000 square foot footprint, take out a lot of the frills. So it's going to be a bare bones operation.
Right.
Um, we're actually even not including the kitchen or furnishings or and appliances. That is
Ah,
something that the community center will purchase after the building is built.
right.
But our concern right now is we want the four walls up, and we want a building that the
Yeah.
public can look at and see.
Yeah. A place that meetings can be held or events, it can be used for events or those sorts of things. So it's uh, so I'd characterize this as a much more basic building at this point,
Correct.
but more realistic in terms of the kind of funding you all can get.
Correct.
Probably wasn't going to be a miracle pile of money from the federal government,
No.
much as we would have hoped, and certainly what's deserved by the community, but probably not going to happen.
Well, and the other thing that came up, and I believe everybody in the community is looking for solutions on how to get the community center built. And one of the questions throughout our community was including the clothing operation of Pay and Take in the new building.
Yeah.
We have got an excellent group of volunteers that have formed a steering committee that are looking at an alternative right now to adding an addition to the existing annex building.
Okay.
Because of the downsizing of the community center footprint now, they've taken upon themselves to really look at designing, finding uh, affordable general contractors to be able to build an addition onto the annex that would be
Okay.
able to house the clothing department.
Okay. All right. So everyone sounds like to me everyone's you've had to tighten your belts here
Yeah,
and adjust expectations because of number of outside circumstances that you're just forced to deal with. Not much to say, not much you can do about that. And so your response has been what you called a plan B, which is a much simpler, more basic building uh, that will get something up and out of the ground and will allow you to do a certain number of your functions. Uh, maybe not every, you won't be necessarily be able to do everything you'd ever dreamed of, um, but you can at least get
right.
your basic operations back up and running. Is there any? Uh, I'm guessing that I'm assuming that the redesign of the building or the adjustment of the building would not preclude those things being added in at some future time. Like you mentioned
Correct.
the stage on the old building, the stage was added at a later time, and other functions were added later in the building as money was raised.
Correct. Correct. And that's what we asked them to do is to factor in plumbing for additional expanse.
Hmm.
So we don't have to go back in and do the plumbing and electrical and a lot
Right.
of that infrastructure, but really make it easy for us to just expand and just tie into the existing uh, hardware.
Yeah. Talk to me. It may be early, but you've adjusted your budget. You're currently adjusting the design of the building. What are you adjusting to the schedule? What does it look like at this point?
Right now, we're the general contractor said that they're willing to push the start of construction to the fall of 2025.
Okay. Okay.
So we appreciate that because realizing that we're holding them up from doing other jobs.
Right.
And so we appreciate that they're keeping us on their calendar because if we lose that window of opportunity, it may be a couple of years down the road before we'll be able to do construction again.
Right. And time, like in everything, time in construction usually equals money. And
Exactly right.
the longer you wait, probably the higher your costs end up. Yeah. Yeah, that's really true. Well, Kevin, that's a big that's a big change in direction or an adjustment in direction for the community center and you all on the board. I anticipate this was a direction you took with uh, some amount of I won't say regret, but your hopes you aren't getting what you had dreamed of and hoped of at the beginning, but you found a way to recover here and come up with something that is still possible to do, and gets a building out of the ground that you can begin using again.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I think what we're representing the community and their expectations,
Yeah,
and we have to look at as a board and as a community what we can do together to make this building uh, fully functional and operational that we can all use it for many years to come. And
yeah,
if we have to sacrifice some of the uh, wishes for and the wants for what is necessary, then we're there to do that and make those hard decisions.
yeah. Sometimes that's the job a board has to do. It's
Well, we
really
have a
true.
great board, and I feel very fortunate to work with them. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. We've been listening and speaking with Kevin Evans. Kevin's the chair of the board of directors of the Gualala Community Center, and he's just been sharing with us the uh, the board's actions to redesign and to reconfigure the new community center within a new budget and how they're facing the challenges of raising the money they need. Kevin, I'm sure that's a little bit of sadness here because you guys came out with a plan that was like pretty exciting,
Yeah,
for the community and represented a really big step forward. But uh, as so often happens, circumstances that are bigger than any of us
right.
has forced you guys to reconsider and review what you could really accomplish. So I think I, I would expect that the community is going to really respect the direction you had to take, really, and appreciate you sharing uh, this difficult decision with us.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity. It's an important message to get out in the community, and I appreciate you inviting me to visit with you today so we can share it right away. Let the public know that we are taking the necessary steps to try and get the building rebuilt.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Kevin, within a number of weeks or maybe a few short months, we'll have you back and you're going to tell us about how things are going and when we can expect to see some dirt being moved and some steel being put up
Yep.
and start seeing some activities there. And we'll look forward to visiting with you again, hopefully in the very near future.
All right. Thank you, George, so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.
Have a great day.
You too.